On today's Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, are the Cavs cooked? The Mavericks too good to tank?
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Let's get it going on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcasting network in the world. Thanks to you everydayers who make this possible. We're here on NBA Game Night recapping every game in the association every single day, including here on Saturday. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Cade Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs. And Danny, we had an upset-filled Saturday, both in the NBA and in college football. And we'll start with your Cleveland Cavaliers, who lost to the Golden State Warriors 99-94, made even worse by the fact that the Golden State Warriors starting five was Pat Spencer, Buddy Hield, Will Richard, Jonathan Kuminga, and Quentin Post. And yet the Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley led Cleveland Cavaliers with Darius Garland could not get it done. Pat Spencer went off for 19 points on 58% shooting. Nice little ball player, Pat Spencer. Danny, I'm just going to ask you. You're the host of Locked On Cavs. Are the Cavs cooked?
I think we're going to find out in a week or so. And I say that because unlike your team that you cover, Rylan, the Cavs now have 5 days off because they did not advance in the NBA Cup. So that means that they have some time, I think, to do some soul searching, to take a good, hard look in the mirror at themselves, whatever cliche you want to use. The Cavs have the opportunity to do that. And the problem with this game that they played against the Warriors is, so one, it was their 5th game in 7 nights, and they went 2-3 in that stretch. They lost to the Celtics, they beat the Pacers, they lost to the Portland Trail Blazers, and they beat the San Antonio Spurs, which was a nice win against a good San Antonio team on Friday, and they follow it up with this dud on Saturday. But the problem is, I think in a lot of the losses that we've seen from the Cavs, it's been effort at times, it's been not doing the little things, it's been the focus maybe hasn't been there. Like they have almost, I think, looked like a team that's gotten a little bit bored. Now, they haven't accomplished anything and they have no right to be bored, but I think that you can look at that and say, okay, that's why they're losing these games to teams that they're more talented than, because I do look at them on paper and say, that is one of the most talented teams in basketball. And I think, for my money, the most talented team in the Eastern Conference. But then they lose this game against the Warriors where I thought their effort level was good. I thought they had good energy, particularly when you consider it was the 5th game in 7 nights. I thought that they actually had a really good offensive process, and they just had a really bad night shooting the basketball. But because of all the other games that they've lost, like if they went into this game 18-6 in their first 24 games, okay, it's one night, happens. But instead, they go into this game 14-10. Now they're 14-11, 25 games in. They have lost the benefit of the doubt with what their play has been so far this year. Because I think this game in a vacuum, yeah, it's embarrassing because you lost to a Warriors team, didn't have Steph, didn't have Draymond, didn't have Jimmy Butler, didn't have Al Horford. Like, that's an embarrassing thing on its own. But if you dig a little bit deeper, it's like, you know what? The Cavs shot 41% in the paint. They had 56 attempts in the paint. Typically, that's a really good recipe for success, right? They had a lot of open threes. They shot 23% on those shots. That's typically a good recipe for success. And games like that are going to happen, but they've lost the ability to have games like that because they've had so many other games where they haven't done things the right way, and it's caught up to them. Where this one, I kind of thought they did things the right way, but they had an off night, but they've lost the ability to have that and get away with it now.
Yeah, they have certainly lost their margin of error, if you will. They've certainly lost their, their kind of benefit of the doubt. And I just think that with the Cavs, what's so interesting is your point of they haven't, really done anything to warrant this kind of laissez-faire attitude at times, not tonight, but at times throughout this regular season. I do think that the East is still wide open, and I do think that it's a long season, and eventually the cream rises to the top. That will happen for the Cavs, and it isn't as though it's all doom and gloom. I think that once the Cavs, and if the Cavs can get fully healthy, you have Strus back, you have Miro back, you have Allen back. In this game, for example, Larry Nance Jr. also is out, and you can play these guys in a more suitable role, then that will help ease the burden. However, it's easy to say that, Danny, but there is also no real excuse to lose to a Golden State Warriors team this shorthanded. No Steph Curry, no Al Horford, no Jimmy Butler, no Draymond Green in this game, and not even a Seth Curry. At least Seth Curry, when he was making that comeback against OKC, at least he was on the court. There was a Curry there, not a Curry in sight against the Cavs. But I think that with Golden State, you're looking at them and you can start to feel good if you're the Warriors this week. If you got this win in Cleveland, you got the opportunity here to make that comeback against Oklahoma City, fought hard, and it ended up not going your way despite that second half run. And then, honestly, that is a point of pride because a lot of teams, as you can tell by the Thunder's historical net rating, don't make a push after they get down against
right.
Golden State did, and Pat Spencer was in the middle of it, just like he was in the middle of this tonight. There is obviously concerns about Jonathan Kuminga, like Danny. Jonathan Kuminga.
My gosh, he was terrible. He was horrible in this game. But I want to, before we get to the bad of him, like, has anyone in the NBA had a better week than Pat Spencer?
I can't think of one person.
I mean, he was awesome in this game. He had 19 points on 7 of 12 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3. And like a couple of his threes that he hit were in the fourth quarter. They were big shots. And one of them was wide open. The other one was a contested 3 that he just buried. But like he was the guy that won this game for the Warriors because the Cavs did make a late push. They had an opportunity with under 10 seconds left after they trailed by as many as 14 in the second half. They had an opportunity to tie the game with less than 7 seconds left. Donovan Mitchell missed a 3. Cavs had a great sideline out of bounds play out of a timeout that gave him a really good look, and he missed it. Like, that's going to happen. But Pat Spencer was the guy that like put enough distance between the Cavs and the Warriors in this game. I thought he deserved a ton of credit. But to your point, Jonathan Kuminga was terrible in this game. 1 of 10 from the floor, only had 4 points, had 7 rebounds, like nice stuff. But part of that is the Cavs missed a million shots in this game. They were 37 of 107 from the floor. So there were plenty of rebounds to be had. So I guess somebody had to grab them and he grabbed 7 of them. So good job on him. But man, it was a complete dud from him. But they did get good stuff from other guys. Like Quentin Post was solid in this game. Buddy Hield hit a few big shots in this game too. Brandon Pajemski was certainly much better than Jonathan Kuminga. So the Warriors got some good efforts from a lot of guys, but what stuck out like a sore thumb was how bad Kuminga was.
Yeah, he was kind of the one aspect of this fun night with Golden State that you could point to and say that was devastating. And this is another situation here where you're Golden State, and it's like, okay, yeah, the Jonathan Kuminga cloud has kind of been holding over this team since the summer, but once you're fully healthy and you now have this Pat Spencer in the mix and you now have, Pazimski playing a bit better off the bench for this team, now you can start to envision a world in which Golden State can be competitive and scrappy and trying to dethrone almost anybody in the West, not named Oklahoma City, and obviously probably not Denver or Houston either. But
right.
There's still some opportunity out there for Golden State. And being able to get a win like this, you never apologize for. 99-94, Golden State gets the win. But Danny, the Mavericks also had a bounce back, and they had a big win today. Are they too good to tank? We'll answer that question coming up. First one, say right now, my good friends over at DoorDash, go check out DoorDash today because DoorDash is awesome, folks, and you're going to want to go there and see as the NBA season is heating up. DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching for the highlights, your fantasy team, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes every single night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA. They're collaborating and celebrating something that they call the bag drop. The bag drop is awesome because every time an NBA player scores 50 or more points in a game, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day. You're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. We're talking player-inspired drip, exclusive gear, and stuff you actually want. DoorDash is awesome because you can get more than just food there. You can get headphones, ice, even socks, all delivered. And the socks, big deal if you're a bad planner and a bad packer and you get to a new city and don't have any socks with you. DoorDash can hook you up.
Whether it's late night highlight watching. Experience there, Rylan.
I am speaking from experience. I have DoorDash some socks to the hotel before, but I just never put them on the door. DoorDash is there for the late night highlight watching, last minute watch parties, and double overtime fuel ups. The next time someone goes up for 50 points, use the promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the next day of a 50-point game with promo code Terms and conditions apply. No purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to U.S. residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashInYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. We're back on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast, and we're here talking about this Saturday that wasn't the association. So, Danny, the Warriors fell to OKC on Tuesday, get a big win against your Cavs on Saturday. The Mavericks get dismantled by the Thunder on Friday. Anthony Davis has to get his only bucket against the backup crew in the fourth quarter, and they lick their wounds, return home to the American Airlines Center, and beat another Western Conference contender in the Houston Rockets. Let's go to Nick Ingstead to break that down.
Can't beat OKC, but this Dallas Mavericks team might be too good to tank because they got another win against the Houston Rockets. They're now 4 out of the last 5, including wins against the Rockets, the Nuggets, and the Miami Heat, and the Clippers. That's not really an impressive win anymore, but the Mavs get this win. They went on a 14-0 run in the third quarter, including getting 4 steals. They got 13 total steals in this game. The Rockets had 18 turnovers. It just looked like the Rockets didn't really even show up to play offense in this one. That was a struggle for them for sure, but PJ Washington, his return, 14 points, had 5 of those steals, 7 rebounds. His size is such a big advantage for the Dallas Mavericks when they have AD, PJ Washington, and Cooper Flag on the floor. That is just a big lineup that teams can't really play, and the Rockets didn't have Alfred Sengun. They didn't have Steven Adams. They were missing a bunch of guys, obviously, but the Mavs went out there, got a win, and Anthony Davis, 29 points, and just complete night and day difference from his game against the Thunder where he only had 2 points. And he took a really hard fall early in the first half, but got back up, got back into the game, fine, continued on, and he was able to get what he wanted against Capella, and even when the Rockets went small, he was able to take advantage against that. Cooper Flag, 19 points, and this with 3 assists, 5 rebounds, and a couple of buckets in the fourth quarter. Not necessarily clutch buckets because the Mavs didn't have to play a clutch game in this one, but continuing to show that he can adjust from one half to another. He got blocked 3 times in the first half, didn't get blocked in the second half. That was massive for him. Brandon Williams, 20 points off the bench. That was good for him as well. He closed the game over Ryan Nembhard. That was notable for the Mavs. And the Mavs get a win. They might be too good to tank.
They might be too good to tank. From Locked On Mavs host Nick Ingstead. The Mavericks have beaten the Rockets tonight and the Nuggets this week, as well as the Miami Heat and the Clippers, but losing to OKC. So technically speaking, they have beat 2 of the 3 biggest contenders in the Western Conference in this span, but too good to tank, Danny. We're a little over our skis here in Dallas, huh?
Bad idea. So let's pull up the old NBA standings. Dallas Mavericks are 9-16, and I understand that they are 5-5 of their last 10. They got off to a terrible start to the season. Like, they've been a better team lately than what their record probably says. Can we agree there, Rylan?
For sure.
Okay, so now knowing that, look at the rest of the Western Conference. It's the top of the West in particular is stacked. You've got your Thunder. Are the Mavericks capable of beating them in a playoff series? I'm going to speak for you, and I'm going to speak for myself. I'm going to say no. Are the Mavs capable as present of beating the Lakers in a playoff series? Probably not. The Nuggets? Probably not. The Rockets? Probably not. The Spurs when they're healthy? Probably not. The Timberwolves? Probably not. Right? So those are the top 6 teams in the West. So I say all that to ask the question, where is this Mavs team going? What is the purpose for them of being good this year? And I say that because, I don't know, let's pull up the Mavs draft capital page. They've got their own pick this year. And next year, their pick is top 2 protected. So you can, if you're the Dallas Mavericks, because you traded so much draft capital to try and improve your team around this Luka Doncic guy that used to play in Dallas and now plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. You may have heard about a trade that happened between those 2 teams a little less than a year ago. And the Mavs have the ability to keep their pick this year and really pivot to the Cooper Flag era. And Flag looks awesome, right? Like, he's been really, really good as of late. So trade Anthony Davis. Don't be good. Don't try and chase anything that's not actually out there for you this year if you're Dallas. You don't have to be like some process level Philadelphia 76ers for several years and just be bad year after year. You can be bad just this one year. You can just be bad this year, tank, let Cooper Flag learn on the job, keep your pick, hope you get some lottery luck, and then you can build around that core of Cooper Flag and whoever you draft in the top 10 this year. Don't try and chase something that's not worth it if you're Dallas. Are they better than the record? Sure. Are they good enough to win a series in the West? Absolutely not. And if that's the case, don't chase it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, they're not good enough to win a series against anybody in the Western Conference because they're not good enough to get themselves in position to play even the flawed Western Conference teams, much less the top of the Western Conference that they'd have to go through that play-in tournament. You'd imagine, even if things went perfectly for Dallas throughout the rest of this season. And the draft assets in the future, or lack thereof, do prove the point that they need to tank. And you're never too good to tank. There's always something you can do to lose these games, and the Mavericks should be doing them. They should be executing those things, whether it's trading Anthony Davis or outright shutting him down, whether, not bringing back Kyrie to play this year, whatever it takes. They should be a tanking club, and you build around Cooper Flag, you build around even Ryan Nembhard, who's a young player that they got undrafted, two-way guy that will soon no longer be a two-way guy that had 11 points on 71% shooting in this game and 7 assists as that starting guard. They've really helped their roster by starting him now at the guard position. But yeah, this roster is just not it. And it's a non-prototypical tanking roster, right? Like there's some names that you know and love, but at the end of the day, it needs to be a tanking roster, whatever you have to do to make it happen. But this was a win for Dallas in a game in which Kevin Durant scored 27 points and made 55% of his shots. Jabari Smith Jr. had 22 himself on 52% shooting in this game. But I think that overall, you're looking at a Rockets team that, as Nick admitted, kind of sleptwalk through this game to a large extent. And the Mavericks do get a bounce back win after an embarrassing loss, even against the Thunder a night ago. But Dallas ended up getting up by 22 points in the fourth quarter and cruising to a win and really controlled the game for the final, let's call it 15 minutes of game time in this one. But Dallas is not too good to tank. In fact, they should be tanking. Perhaps, Danny, Milwaukee should be tanking as well as they lose to Detroit 124-112 as Cade Cunningham was just exceptional in this game with 23 points and 12 assists to go along with 6 rebounds and really help lead Detroit to a win. Duren had a double-double as well with 16 points and 16 rebounds. And Isaiah Stewart had 19 points in his own right, and he was very vocal after this game, throwing shade at the Bucks zone defense, that it's not a hard defense to overcome, and challenging them for not playing man and saying that it's a grown men league and they wanted to go with zone. I don't like that. I think that plenty of teams have had success in the NBA going with zone, but not enough success for Milwaukee to beat Detroit in this one. And Detroit continues to be a winning bunch, and they've won their last 2 games now, 7-3 in the last 10 games, and they sit atop of the East at 19-5. The more that we see the sample size grow, Danny, does your confidence in Detroit also grow?
I don't know that my confidence necessarily grows. I think that they're a very good team. I don't think that they're a team right now that I would look at as necessarily capable of winning the Eastern Conference. I think they're probably a player, maybe even a player and a half short of being on that level. And I know that we talked for the entire first segment about the mess that the Cavs are right now, but like right now, I still think it's much more likely the Cavs win the East than the Pistons win the East this year. The New York Knicks have been pretty solid, I think, to start the season. I don't think that they've been like some over super impressive bunch, but I do think they've been pretty good. Like, I think it's much more likely that the Knicks win the East this year. And maybe Detroit slides into third, but I do think there's a gap between those two teams and Detroit in terms of talent right now. And maybe Detroit goes out and is a buyer at the deadline, but I also look at a lot of their wins and listen, as we talked about with the Cavaliers today, winning games in the NBA is difficult, and the Detroit Pistons should get credit for every single game that they win. But I'm also looking at this and say, you know what? I don't know necessarily what stands out to me as, wow, super impressed Detroit got that done. Like the winning streak that they had, they beat up on a bunch of bad teams. Yeah, they beat the Hawks, who I think are a solid team. They beat the Bucks when they had Giannis, who are, again, okay. But I'm just waiting to see more. And it's not that the Pistons, Rylan, have done anything wrong. I don't know that they've had the chance to really go out and show we are that team. But until they go out and show it, I'm not going to believe in it. I think they're very good, but I just don't look at them as contenders right now.
Yeah, I love their defense. And I love Cade Cunningham. It is difficult to get over that hump and be true contenders. I think that this could be kind of a year too early situation for Detroit and even Oklahoma City, as we think of them now as this juggernaut, this dynastic possible team in the 24 playoffs. They were amazing in the regular season. And yet in the postseason, they end up getting ousted in the second round by Dallas, and it led to Dallas going on a finals run, and Dallas, of course, losing to Boston in that 24 finals. But nonetheless, OKC was just not ready. Their flaws were much more exposed and dramatized against Dallas. And then the next year, they go out and win the championship. So I think that it could be a situation like that in Detroit where they're really fun. This is an awesome year, and no fan base hardly than Detroit deserves a year like this more than the Pistons do. But as far as the postseason goes, my confidence meter in them would still fit below a Cleveland and below a New York in this scenario. But still, that's a great season if you're looking at this from what we expected coming in. Even though we saw Detroit be a good team last year, all offseason we talked about like the core four in the East being Cleveland, New York, Atlanta, and Orlando. Detroit is now in that core four. It's just how much can they really move their name up that ladder the rest of the way. Coming up, let's talk about another member of that core four, the Atlanta Hawks, and Trey Johnson continuing to dominate. But first, I want to say right now, our good friends over at FanDuel, go check out FanDuel today, because guess what, folks? It's NFL Sunday, and NFL Sundays move fast, and one big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. It's not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. FanDuel can place bets on action as it unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum tips on a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment with live spreads and money lines adjusting instantly, player props updating as guys heat up, and you can bet on the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long at FanDuel. The game moves fast, so you can too. We're back on the Locked On NBA Game Night podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports network in the world for podcasts. I'm Rylan Stiles, host of Locked On Thunder. That's Danny Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs. Danny, let's talk about another Eastern Conference contender. The Atlanta Hawks win 131-116 over Washington. The big story in this one is Jalen Johnson, who continues to thrive during this stretch of the season. He's averaging 30 points over the last 5 games. He's been incredible. 30 points in this game, 12 assists, 12 rebounds for the triple-double, 2 steals as well. But he shot 55% from the floor, 2 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 8 at the free throw line. I know it's just the Washington Wizards, but this Jalen Johnson run feels legit whenever you couple it with the run he was on a year ago at this time, up until he got hurt in around January to nix him from all-star contention. But I like what we've seen from the Atlanta Hawks sans Trae Young in this stretch.
Yeah, I think that he's the best player on this roster. And it's a shame that it took Trae Young getting hurt, because you never want to see somebody get hurt, especially the way Trae did with a knee injury. That is not like season ending serious, but is a serious knee. I don't think there's a thing like as a minor knee injury, but like a serious knee injury. So it's a shame that that's what it had to come to. But Jalen Johnson is the best player on the Hawks. And I have questions about what they could potentially look like in the postseason without that really good creator that Trae is, both for himself and others offensively. But I just look at this team right now and they have so much balance, right? Because Jalen Johnson has been so good, but it's not only been him as of late. Like Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been fantastic. Onyeka Okongwu had a really nice night against the Wizards. And yeah, we can say it's the Wizards, but you still have to go out and win the games. I will say I'm glad that Jalen got to 12 boards and 12 assists. I was having a conversation with somebody at the Cavs game today, and we were just like box score watching. And I said for a triple-double to count against a team like Washington, you need at least 12 in every category. Like a 10-10-10 game, not a triple-double against the Wizards, not against the Nets, not against the New Orleans Pelicans. You got to get to 12, so I'm glad that he accomplished that, and I can give him full credit for it.
I'm glad that he met the Cunningham threshold for a triple-double in this game. And you mentioned the Nets and Pelicans. They played each other. So does that change the outcome of what meets the criteria for a triple-double? Is it back to 10-10-10 when they see each other?
I think it does. So I think that we have to give Nick Claxton credit, because he had 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists somehow, having a triple-double. Like, I think that if you are on the Nets or the Wizards or the Pelicans, then it does change a little bit. Like, those games are kind of like tax exempt, if you will. So like credit to him for having that triple double in a Nets 119-101 win. I feel sorry for anybody that had to watch every single second of this game. I know I certainly didn't watch all of it. But yeah, somebody's got to win these games, man.
Somebody's got to win the games, and the Nets did that 119-101 over the New Orleans Pelicans. You mentioned Claxton's triple-double. That was a lot of fun. So was Michael Porter Jr. going 5 for 10 from 3 to tally 35 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block in this game, a plus 31 in the box score from Michael Porter Jr. Danny, are the Nets going to have value here with Michael Porter Jr. at the trade deadline?
I think they'll be able to find something. I don't know that it's going to be like some overwhelmingly great trade. I don't even know that they're going to get more value for him than they could have gotten for Cam Johnson. Although I think that given the role, like MPJ has been better than I think a lot of people expected him to be in Brooklyn so far this year. And Cam Johnson has maybe been a little underwhelming in Denver so far this year. But I don't know. I don't know how much of a winning player Michael Porter Jr. is, but I do think he's done enough so far this season. And there's still a week really before anybody in the NBA can be traded. So we'll have to wait and see what trade season really shapes up to be. But I do think he's done enough so far to recoup his value a little bit in Brooklyn that maybe there is a contender out there that wants to take a swing on a guy like him.
And that trade market will heat up here in about a week. And there's rumors that Trey Murphy III will be in the mix and that the Pelicans are more comfortable moving on from him. And after that report comes out, Trey Murphy III has 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in this game in the loss against Brooklyn. Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears, 2 rookies who have really shined all season long, had kind of dud performances in this one. And overall, it was just not a great performance from New Orleans, who were sleepy in Brooklyn, and the Nets get the win. But between Trey Murphy and Michael Porter Jr., real quick, who would you rather have as a contender?
I would rather have Trey Murphy. I think he's a better winning player. I think that Michael Porter Jr. is the better shooter, right? Like he's got that elite level shooting skill that I don't think Trey Murphy III necessarily has, but I think that Trey Murphy III is more of a winning player, a guy that can do kind of everything that you're looking for when he's in the right role. Right now on this team in New Orleans, his role is oversized for who he is, but when he's in the right role on a good team, I think he's a better player.
Yeah, I think that I would trust his defense more, and I trust his connective passing a bit more than Michael Porter Jr. as well. And I would wonder what even the asking price would be for both sides in a deal. And whenever you factor in contracts as well, like I think that the scales are tipping more and more toward Trey Murphy III's leeway. But also Trey Murphy III, no need for both the Trey and the 3 if you really look up what his real name is, but we still go with it anyway. But nonetheless, I feel like you had the stat of like your Danny Cunningham threshold. I feel like this take is a little half-baked. I'll admit we are recording late tonight, but I feel like James Harden is great value Shohei Ohtani because every game, whenever he was on the Angels, to be clear, because every game it's like James Harden, the oldest player to have a triple-double, James Harden, the oldest player to score 50 points, James Harden, now in the top 10 of scores, and the Clippers lost. And the Clippers lost again to the Minnesota Timberwolves, 109-106 in heartbreaking fashion because the Clippers grew an 18-point lead against Minnesota. And this looked like the classic Minnesota team that was just going to, you know what? We let it get away from us. We'll have another game in a couple of days. So it's going to be all right. But no, the Clippers could not stave off the Timberwolves long enough to get the win. They blow an 18-point lead in a game that just saw 3 lead changes and 4 ties. Not only did they blow an 18-point lead, but they let the Timberwolves grow a 9-point lead at the end of the fourth quarter to comfortably hold on at the end for a Timberwolves team that usually does this in reverse. They're usually the team that has a big lead, loses it, and then still finds a way to win. This time they had to overcome a big lead from the Clippers, and they were able to do it and get the win. But James Harden, now a top 10 scorer all time, after he puts up 34 points in this game, 6 assists and 5 rebounds in the loss. Zubac had 15 points and 13 rebounds in a double-double for Zoo. And then Kawhi played 20 points on 47% shooting, a ho-hum night for Kawhi Leonard. And this Clippers team going nowhere fast now with bottom 4 lottery odds in the NBA. Top 4 lottery odds in the NBA.
Your voice, Rylan.
I'm trying to, stay calm, stay collected. But I mean, they have top 4 lottery odds in the NBA now, and that pick Izzo to OKC. Anthony Edwards has just 15 points in this game on 27% shooting, but it was McDaniels who had 27 in the starting lineup and only missed 3 shots, including going 3 for 3 from beyond the arc. In this one, Julius Randle had 24 points, and the Timberwolves get the win. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how out are you on the Clippers getting the Savage this season?
12. Like, it's over. It is so over for the Clippers, man. Like, they are. I don't know that there is the meme. It's like, I straight up not having a good time, dude. That is the Clippers every single night they play basketball. I watched them in person 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, or maybe it was last year. I don't remember. Time is a flat circle at this point, Rylan. But I watched them in person. Just like, they are the team that you need when you need a get right game, but you need it to feel better than playing that triumvirate of gross that we already talked about between Washington and Brooklyn and New Orleans. When you need a get right game against like a team that you can say, hey, we beat that team, the Clippers are that team.
Yeah, the Clippers are the NBA's get right club. And you mentioned before that you don't know who had to sit through the entire Nets-Pels game. I actually have enjoyed sitting through entire Miami Heat games this season, but they fell to the Kings 127-111 against Sacramento as Zach LaVine had 42 points in this game for the Kingsmen. And they also had Nate Clifford off the bench go for 15 points as the rookie gets in on the action. Keegan Murray had 16 and Russell Westbrook had 12 points and 10 assists in this game, with DeMar DeRozan going for 13. But the Heat had Jaime Jaquez off the bench score 27 points. Fontecchio, 20 points off the bench, and Nikola Jovic, 12 points off the bench, but it was not enough. Norman Powell only got them 18, and Andrew Wiggins only got them 13 points. No other starter reached double figures in this game, not even Bam, who only had 9 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. So a game that Miami would, of course, want back against a Kings team that's not very good and also didn't have Dennis Schroeder or Domantas Sabonis in this one. But nonetheless, nice night for Zach LaVine. Nice win for the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, the only thing that's saving this from being like a really, really bad loss for the Miami Heat is that the Cavs lost to the Warriors in the way they did on Saturday night. Like, this would have been the worst loss of the game, or the worst loss of the evening easily, had not been for the dud the Cavs put out there. Like, this is even without Tyler Hero, no Davion Mitchell. It's still a really bad loss against a stinky Kings team.
Yeah, I mean, what a night for upsets. Like, you have the Kings upsetting the Heat. You had the Warriors shorthandedly upsetting the Cavs, the Mavericks upsetting the Rockets. It was a crazy night in the NBA. Glad we got to break it all down. I'm Rylan Stiles. Find me on Locked On Thunder. That's Cade Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs. You can find him over there, and you can find both of us on Locked On NBA Game Night each week. Danny, I'm glad that you get to return to your regularly scheduled Sunday show tonight, and we'll see what the NBA has in store for us all coming up. But until then, folks, be good and be good to one another.